What's up, guys? Happy Monday. Today is Monday, and I'm super excited to be here because it's Monday, and I usually do this stuff every single Monday. So, Midterm Mondays, for those of you that don't know, I host this every single Monday where I talk about midterm rentals. Sometimes we talk about mindset. Sometimes we talk about all kinds of other stuff. I'm Jesse Vasquez, and I'm super excited that you guys are here. But today I'm actually going to be talking about the 2025 Midterm Rental Summit that happened, I'm going to say about 10, 12 days ago. And let me tell you, it was spectacular. And what I mean by that is we had over 500 people that attended. There were so many speakers there that talked about so many cool things in the midterm rental space. They talked about, I mean, Dan Martell was there, Christine. So one of the things that I really wanted to highlight this year is the actual real success that people are actually having. When I say real success, I'm talking about people that have been in my mentorship in my program. And there was a few people, Ruben, Christine. For those of you that are familiar with them, they're pretty high in this space. They're really well known. Ruben Garcia and Christine Z. I think I'm saying her last name right, and I hope I am. But they last year at the summit did not have the ability to see what was actually see what they were able to do, see what they're actually able to put together, see what they're actually able to accomplish in their business. And for me, it was just amazing to watch these people. And this is what I actually want to break down. Ruben Garcia, a year ago to the day, he was at the summit, went through the summit, was trying to build a midterm rental business on his own. He got fired from his W-2 job. He had his back against the wall and he joined a program. He joined working with me. And he went to the summit and he's just like, man, this is going to be really hard. I see that I don't know if I actually have what it takes to build something. I don't know if I actually have, hey, Shannon, I don't know if I actually have what's required for me to build a successful business. And I don't know if I could do it. And I remember talking to him. I was sitting at the hotel in Coronado last year, and it was like the day after the event. I was waiting. I was with my family, or was waiting for the my truck to be pulled up from valet. And I sat there and talked to him for about 5 minutes, and he's like, "I decided to stay an extra day. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to start dialing all these companies up. I'm going to try to connect with relocation specialists. I'm going to really focus on building this. Although I didn't feel like I can actually do this, I don't feel like I could. I'm just going to focus my energy on it because I have nothing else to do. Like I have nothing else left for me to do." And to watch him go from that mindset a year ago, it makes me realize how much you and myself and everybody on this planet has the ability to be extremely intentional. But not only that, but I don't think you guys realize how much you can actually accomplish in a day if you set your mind to something. I don't think you understand what you can accomplish in a week. I don't think you understand what you can accomplish in a month. And I sure as hell know that a lot of you, including myself, sometimes don't know what we can accomplish in a year. And just seeing Ruben and Christine build something so significant, these people are doing insane amounts of money in a year, and most businesses aren't even profitable within the first year. And just to watch somebody go from that level of mindset, like, I don't know if I could do this, to like thriving and building and creating. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. I don't know if you guys could see this at all, but you see those goosebumps? Those goosebumps are real. Those goosebumps are not fake, and I can't fake goosebumps. I wish I could, but I can't. And the reason why I have them is because I get to see the what people are actually able to build for themselves, and it makes me kind of like I get a little emotional about it because there's just some really cool stuff that people could do, like they can build, and it's just really cool to be a part of watching what people can do in this space. And like when you just put your head down to something and you start to build, and you like, get excited about putting together a business, and you get excited about building something, and then you see it a year later, it's just freaking magical. And Ruben has that gift of that ability to just build and put something on a credit card and focus in on it. And Christine had that same thing. In fact, for those of you that probably heard this before, Christine was a student of mine. Same scenario, but hers is a little bit different. Let me explain this to you guys so you guys get context. Christine's Chinese. She has a accent, and it's not horrible. But I remember being in class with her. This is my first introduction to her, by the way, you guys. So listen, hang with me for a minute. She comes into class. She says, first thing she says, I don't know if I'm going to do well in this business because I have to make phone calls with people. And when I make phone calls with people, they're not going to like my language. They're not going to like my They're not going to like the accent that I have. They aren't going to like how I communicate. And I had to say, whoa, 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 like, hold up a second. Hold up a second. Like, you're giving yourself a limiting mindset by projecting what other people who you don't even know yet, who you haven't even had a conversation yet, are gonna are gonna feel from you. You're putting your own limitations on your own self by saying those things, and we all do it. Like, I've limited myself so many times, I still do to this day. But Christine, Shannon just said Christine and Katie are crushing it. Total goals, yeah. And just to give you guys context to this real quick, that's my introduction to Christine. So imagine this, you guys, in a class, and somebody pops in and says, I'm not going to do well at this because of XYZ, because my voice, because I don't have the ability, because I'm not a good communicator. When you say those kinds of things to yourself, you're now putting yourself in a box. And this is not from Sandlot L7 Weenie, right? You guys know, watch Sandlot L7, where you're considering yourself a square. That's not what I was talking about at all. I'm saying that, and that's what I was doing by this is like me looking through a box. This is me saying, if I have the ability, I'm limiting myself. If I say I'm an introvert, if I say I'm not going to be able to have this, I'm just going to stay in those boxes there. And what I'm trying to say is that being able to watch her go from I can't speak to now getting on a freaking stage in a year, like, that's what is amazing about being in business and being around people that are doing these things, and being around people that have the ambitions to be able to create stuff for themselves and for other people. And it's so powerful to be at. And I think being in these types of events are just they're just so powerful. And for those of you that came, hey Rebecca, Texas, I got property out in Texas. But being in these types of environments like this are just so energetic and so much fun to be around. And although they are nerve wracking to me, and I don't make any money from these events, in fact, I'm usually negative about $115,000 from putting events on. The reason why I do it is because we need to have a community. We need to have a group of people who are like minded, who are gathering once a year to talk about stories, to talk about how they're able to build, to share their stories with other people, because all you need is one person to be able to hear you, to be able to listen to what you have going on, to be able to put your strategy. You can get that, that connection with somebody else, and you could build something significant for yourself if you're willing to put that time and energy into something. And I think, again, going to these events is so empowering because you do get to hear other people's stories. You do get to see where they're at. You do get to see how they've built their business. You could see that this business is not that difficult if you learn a few fundamental things. And um, that's what's so cool about it, you guys. I had a blast doing it. And the crazy thing about this, again, is I don't make any money from this. But it's not about making money to me. I think it's just about getting this community together and having everybody thrive and having everybody learn from each other, and just we're all like one click away from something magnificent. And it just requires a couple different things. It requires consistency. That's you showing up for yourself, showing up for the people that you care about, and that's you actually doing what you say you're going to do. It requires a level of understanding and the ability to learn. I am a student of continuing to learn on a regular basis. And one of the cool things about being in business, I think it's one of the um, if you're an entrepreneur, it's one of the ultimate ways of self-discovery. And what I mean by that is, like, you're going to learn things about yourself that you had no idea even existed. You're going to go down to the pits of despair. You're going to pull yourself out of it. You're going to continue to always be in these loops of trying to figure things out, and it's hard, it's difficult. But I think this is why being in a community is so empowering and powerful, because you can leverage what's happening to you or what you're going through with other people who have already been there and done that, or maybe even navigating those waters together. And I can tell you something about being in a storm and they ship with people that have the same mindset and the same ability and the same, um, growth factors of wanting to do more, learn more, and be more, and create more, and provide more. Those are my kind of people, and that's why I love putting these events on. But there was a couple really, really powerful things for me, other than the students that were up on stage, and like we had Emily Hammer up there, Dylan was up there on stage. Ruben was up there. We had Corey, another guy that would really killed it, coming in a full year of just being able to build. And that was really the highlight of the summit for me, was just, again, going back to that 1 year potential. And this is something I'm going to challenge you guys to, before I break down some of the things that I actually really loved about some tactical things in the summit, some things that have changed in the business, some things that I think are really powerful, is that there's a lot of us that get stuck with connecting with these companies and building our referral bases and talking to relocation specialists. But if you're able to learn a couple things. I'm going to break them down for you guys today. There's a few things that changed in the midterm rental world. And what I mean by that is like the guest avatars, and I hate that word avatar, the guest clients, whatever you want to call them, the clients, that market has been shifting. And Furnish Finder was able to give us some really cool information on what's actually shifted in the market and some things that actually have changed. Some of these things that are incredibly demanding in a lot of ways. And I think that for me, I'm going to share this screen with you guys because I want you guys to see what has changed in these in the market right now. So let me try to pull up this information real quick, and hopefully I can do it. But Furnish Finder every year, I love this because they break down who their target avatars are, who the people that they are connecting with, what type of insights that they see, what's actually happening in the market, and a lot of things that are actually incredibly helpful for us as entrepreneurs that are specifically in this space, that can allow us to grow our business. And it changes every year. And the cool thing about them is that they have so much data that they can piggyback off of. And for me, that's like one of the highlights is being able to see what that actual data is and being able to look at it, being able to dissect it, being able to see who's actually coming into the markets and why. And that's a powerful place to be. That's a powerful position to be in when you're able to see what that potential is and identify those markets and start to actually do things on them. So I'm going to see if I could share my screen with you guys. Hopefully, I can. I'm going to try my best to do so right now, which again, I'm going to try to do this. Let's see here. Let me see if I can close that. Okay, so let's see here. Share screen. Let's see, allow. Um, let's see. All right, hopefully I can share this. And it's Can you guys see my message? Can you guys see this real quick? And somebody in the chat box, can you guys tell me if you could see this or not? This is my um this is the Jeff Hurst conversation. Can somebody in the chat box say yes, I could see this? If you guys can see my screen right now. Hopefully somebody can respond. Anybody in the chat box just say, "Yep, I see the screen." That's all I need from you guys is a yes, I see the screen. Anybody? Speaking now or forever hold my peace. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if you can or not. I hope you can, but I'm going to share some insightful information here that I pulled away from this. Okay, cool. I got somebody just said yes. Okay, cool. She says yes. Okay, awesome. So, really, couple really important things that I want to take away from that I took away from the midterm rental summit. I'm going to share this with you guys. Um, Monthly rentals, so replacing the word midterm rentals, you know who knows about midterm rentals? It's investors. Investors are super, super familiar with the word midterm rentals. But the problem is that guests don't use midterm rentals. Guests actually use monthly rentals. So I would encourage you guys, this is a big takeaway for me, that monthly rentals has increased by 50 times in popularity according to Google. And the cool thing is that he shows us this kind of breakdown right here. Furnished rental, travel nurse, like these are continuing to be strong keywords that people are using on Google. So I'm going to encourage you guys to continue to look at those specific things because you. So what that means is like, yes, other operators who are operating the space know what midterm rentals are, but the travelers don't know what that is. So I would encourage you guys, if you have your own SEO, and what that is that's like Google Analytics. If you guys have your own direct booking websites, change some of your verbiage from midterm rentals to monthly rentals, to furnished rentals. That's going to be an important piece because these Google trends are starting to go up. And keep in mind, the people that are actually staying at these properties, they're not investors. They don't know what midterm rentals are. They know what monthly rentals are. They know what furnished rentals are. So I would encourage you guys to think about that and start to kind of process that when you guys are building your midterm rental business. It's going to be incredibly, incredibly important to do that. And encouraging you guys to specifically do those things because again, it's going to help you with the SEO. In fact, we're starting to do that now with a lot of our properties and my actual website. We're changing a lot of the midterm rental stuff to furnished rentals, especially if you guys are have direct booking websites, and hopefully you guys do have a direct booking website, that's going to be powerful, continuing to grow into 2026 and beyond. So keep that in mind, you guys, when you're looking at putting your rentals together, you're putting together. Even if you're doing marketing online, with what I mean by marketing is like or excuse me, on Airbnb or no, if I can speak today. Um, if you are using like your own direct booking sites, or you're creating something that is um, you know, where you're marketing and outreach. What I mean by that is like Instagram. If you have a Facebook account for your business, you're going to want to use furnished rentals rather than midterm rentals. Because again, unless you're talking to other midterm rental owners, you're not actually getting guests. So it's really important to think about that. That was something that I really was big for me to kind of look at. And I know it's such a simple thing to think about, but it's another thing to actually put into play. So for me, that was a huge takeaway. The other big takeaway that I want to talk about is, um, furnished monthly rentals are continuing to grow. They're massive. So if you look at Furnished Finders data here, they got 300,000 furnished listings on there. But here's the cool thing. Um, Apartments.com and Zillow are starting to add a ton more of furnished rentals, and that's pretty freaking awesome. So furnished rentals are now on multiple different platforms. So you guys need to list on Zillow. You need to make sure that you're putting your properties, even if they're higher than market rent, on Zillow, because relocation specialists look there, companies look there. There's a lot of other folks that are checking out those markets. So incredibly important to pay attention for that stuff. So furnished rentals is a totally different kind of way of looking at stuff. So I would encourage you guys to do that as you're continuing to build your business. Somebody just said we were just researching for furnished rentals in Savannah, Georgia, a city slated to have 800,000 jobs by the end of 2027 due to Hyundai and another car manufacturer opening plant. See what I mean? That's that right there. This is KA just said that in the chat box. These types of things right here that people are seeing. So there's Savannah, Georgia. They're creating a Hyundai plant, probably because of the tariffs and all the stuff they're Trump's wanting to force a lot of companies to build in the Americas, in America, right? And this right here is how people have been able to build successful businesses. They're finding these little opportunities, like Savannah, Georgia, furnished rentals. All these jobs are coming through because Hyundai is building a plant to create, um, new cars in America. And you guys, that's how you build a business. You find these little opportunities, and we all have these cool things in our back pockets. They're called phones, and there's another thing that's an app. It's called OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. You guys can all go on right now and just say. In fact, I'm going to do this with my ChatGPT, you guys. So we'll just do this as a little. Um, and there's a port coming into Savannah. So KA is saying there's a port coming in. So check this out. I'm going to go ahead and lay this out for you guys real quick. So I'm going to talk to my ChatGPT, and I'm just going to say, let me do this so you guys can hopefully listen to this. I am a midterm rental operator and I'm looking to find companies that are in California that are building from the ground up. So think about like Walmart superstores, any of those types of companies that are big box stores that are opening from the ground up right now. Can you give me a list of those companies that are building in 2025 and 2026? My goal is to be able to house the workers that are coming in, but I just need to know where these markets are at. Let's see what happens. And she's searching. My chat GPT is mean to me sometimes. So if you guys hear her being mean, it's
A few big box retailers are expanding in California over the next couple of years. Costco is opening new warehouses in Brentwood and Highland by March 2025. Sam's Club is launching a store in Lathrop, and T&T Supermarket is planning its first Southern California location in Irvine, expected by late 2026 or early 2027. These projects could create demand for housing workers in those areas.
cool. Thank you, your sweetheart. You guys see what I mean? That's as easy as it is to find these types of companies that are probably in your backyard or that are probably coming soon. They just talked about Lathrop, which is right near Modesto, which is right near Stockton. I connected with a company that is out of Florida. They actually have international engineers and people that probably heard me talk about this on stage at the summit. But anyway, this guy stayed at my Airbnb property. His name's Alex, and he's actually works part of this national company that they're starting to build from the ground up. That Lathrop Walmart Supercenter. Literally, it's not built yet. Like there's just the grounds crew out there getting the ground prepped and putting it together. That company rented 6 of my units for $6,500. So I'm getting $36,000 a month from all these engineers that are staying in my properties right now that are literally in my backyard. So Matt, and this is a 9-month deal, you guys. That's $360,000 that I'm going to make over the next 9 months because of a thing called Chat GPT and me starting to call these companies and me starting to connect with people and me finding out who's actually the boots on the ground there, who's actually doing these things. In fact, that guest that I got stayed at one of my properties, Alex. He stayed at my property for 5 days. And I actually asked him, "Hey, Alex, do you mind telling me a little bit about what you're doing in this market? Can you tell me about what's actually happening right now? Can you tell me about what you guys are doing there? Are you expanding? Are you going to different markets? Are you guys going to be in a different area?" And he started telling me, like, yes, we're just here right now. We're getting settled. We're actually in a hotel. We're trying to get out of the hotel. We want to stay in Airbnbs. We're actually going to need 5 to 9 Airbnbs or midterm rentals. He didn't say midterm rentals. He said Airbnbs over the next 9 months because our project is going to be from 9 months minimum to literally 15 months. And I was like, dude, I have these properties. Like, I actually have property right now that's available. And he's like, cool. Can you tell me where it's at? How far is it from the job site? That's really important. And guess what? 6 of my properties are now booked for $6,500. And it was just from a message, from asking questions from a gentleman that was staying at my property for only 5 days. And I found out they were on assignment. And then I looked it up and he told me they were at the Sam's Club. They're working on that. And then I used ChatGPT and created a form of like all these different companies that are coming into different markets. And I'm just like, man, like there's so much opportunity right now to be able to uh, find people and companies and construction workers and business travelers. Like we are so lucky to be in a time to be able to use Chat GPT and other things. But then you have to have a skill set to be able to call these companies. You got to talk about average daily rates and how much they can have. And like you got to start to think about those things in a different level. But what I'm trying to say is that like literally every single one of you has the ability to build something magnificent. It takes a little bit of work, it takes a little bit of energy. But imagine how many of you right now that can literally house 20 employees that are coming for 6 months, 9 months at a time. And all you are is one connection away, one relationship away from actually building something significant. And that's what I really want you guys to understand after this call, to at least think about things in a different way. And that's just one example of what Alex was able to bring. But to go back to my Furnish Finder stuff here, I think, again, it's really important to pay attention to what's actually happening in these markets right now, to pay attention to what's actually doing. And, for me to be able to look at, these markets right here and just be able to see what this growth is looking like. You guys, midterm rentals are just getting started. And what I mean by that is like, I said this in I said this in 2022 or 2021 whenever I got on Bigger Pockets. I said that, midterm rentals were like, Airbnbs were short-term rental spaces in the seventh inning, right? It's been around. It's kind of been through a couple different things. It's starting to change. It's becoming something different. You got to have like, these extravagant properties now that have cold plunges and all these things to be able to make money off of them. And the midterm rental space, like if you have a property that was very similar to 2017, if you were a short-term rental operator, maybe that is something comfy in a nice location that isn't overly designed, that looks cool, but that feels like comfortable. That's how you win in the midterm rental space. You don't got to have all those things. But anyway, we're just like in the first inning right now. Like the midterm rental operators are literally just chalking the field. We're literally just getting out there right now. So I'm encouraging you guys now to really think about the bigger picture, the broader picture of actually building something significant. Right now is the time. So imagine like the short term rental industry back in 2008, 2009, when people were sleeping on futons and Airbnb was growing. Like that's how early we actually are in the midterm rental space. Now, do I expect it to be as big as Airbnb and all that stuff? No, I don't. But I expect it to be an asset class, and this is where I think you guys really need to focus this energy on. Just like commercial buildings, just like short-term rentals, just like long-term rentals, midterm rentals are going to become an asset class in the future. And imagine knowing about that asset class that's not here yet, but being able to operate like an operator, being able to build your business through connections and resources and leveraging each other, like I just showed you guys right now on with Chat GPT, being able to connect. If I don't have 6 properties, guess what I could do? I can go into that free Facebook group that I have that you guys may be a part of, and I can say, hey, I just got a contract for potentially, I'm working on a contract for 20 employees. I need 6 houses. Who's got property in a 30-mile radius of Lathrop, California? Guess what you're going to have? Literally everybody's going to be reaching out to you that has property in that market saying, I have a place. Well, guess what? Now you can negotiate 10, 20% of whatever that is, and you're able to create an opportunity for yourself, for the operators that are in your market, and for the company that you just served, and for the guests that are coming in. So say that's $36,000 and you made 10% of that. Who's good at math? What is that? $300, $3,000 a month or whatever. Like that's pretty freaking awesome, right? That's pretty freaking like that's the ability that you have as an operator. If you think outside yourself, if you think outside, if I think big, how can I actually solve problems? How can I be somebody that thinks about servitude? How can I be somebody that continues to provide a service for other people as I'm building my own business? And that's exactly what accommodations in the temporary housing space is. That's exactly what accommodations are in this type of business. We're finding problems, and the problems are these companies are staying in crappy hotels, like we talked about Alex a minute ago, the guy from Lathrop that's building the Walmart. Crappy hotels. We're just trying to find housing. Just got here. I don't know why they took so damn long to do that, but they were trying to find the housing. That's where we come in. We're able to provide them with assistance on being the market go to. We have properties. We know who's connected to what. We know who's got good properties in our markets, and we can now serve them in a way that no other big company is ever going to be able to do. And I think that's where we have the leverage of little operators in this space being able to think big enough where we're able to provide customer service and support that not any company is going to be able to do. And that's a powerful position to be in. And again, every single one of you in your own markets, wherever you are, have that ability to do that right now. And I think it's pretty freaking awesome. Um, the other thing that I want to talk about is demand. I just kind of mentioned this a minute ago. Demand is continuing to surge. And what I mean by that is um, Furnish Finders had over 2 million inquiries, which is freaking wild. That's up 105% year over year. You guys, this market is growing. Like, if this isn't enough to show you that, go look at the Google trends of the word midterm rentals. Go look at the Google trends of the word furnished rentals. Like, it's continuing to go up. It's continuing to grow in massive, massive interest. And again, going back to what I talked about earlier, that's exactly what I think is going to be really, really crucial as we start to move into these, these later years where midterm rentals will become an asset class. Like, we're still early in that, but if you get in now and you start to understand this business, as more and more operators come in, you're ahead of them by years. And I think that's what I'm trying to scream from the rooftops for many years, is that many of you have that ability to be a successful entrepreneur, midterm rental operator, temporary housing, accommodations company in your own backyard if you start thinking a little bit outside the box. One of the other things that I think is pretty cool too is that their business travelers are coming back. People are continuing to travel. Digital nomads, there's a billion of those, not a billion. There's like, I don't remember the statistics. There's like 30 million in the US, or maybe it was the world, one of those two. But we deal with digital nomads all the time. And those are the people that are actually booking on the platforms. Check this out. This is, I think, is really, really important for you guys to realize. Four largest tenant segments represent 90% of the demand of the housing platform on the market. Relocation, that is somebody either moving from one place to another. So connect with realtors in your market, find out people that are relocating. A lot of that relocation as well is people that are actually working for companies that are now being relocated to another place. They're actually looking for temporary housing while they're relocated to another place, while they're going to potentially buy another house. So these are the four biggest new types of clients that people are seeing on that platform. Digital nomads, businesses and digital nomads. We just talked about that a minute ago. I talked about construction workers. Alex is one of those companies that is on assignment in Lathrop, which is right near Modesto, right near Stockton, where I have property where they're staying. Digital nomads, we have a ton of those folks that are staying in these markets. And again, we have this beautiful thing called a phone, an iPhone, or a Samsung, whatever you guys have. And then we have ChatGPT that can literally help you find these companies that are coming into your markets. There's deep research that can be done on these. There's literally a tab that you click on, deep research. And for those of you that didn't hear me earlier, I literally had an inquiry on my chat GPT to ask where it was going to be built. Go back and watch that. It's the first 10 minutes of this call if you're watching late. But go listen to what I said. I literally just asked a couple prompts of what's being built of a big box store in my market in California, or in California, that I can potentially help find housing. And it gave me that information. So businesses are continuing to move. They're continuing to do those things. Academia, this is professors. These are teachers. These are people that are coming to different spaces, and including students, because student housing is considered midterm rentals, right? Those folks are staying for 30 or 90 days, maybe a little bit longer than that. So that's continuing to be a huge marketplace. And what we're seeing is starting to see a bigger trend of healthcare workers that are coming back into the service again. What I mean by that is COVID really slammed a lot of, we watched it happen with COVID, right? Where a lot of these nurses were like, "Oh, there's a huge nursing shortage in the US." Like, if we don't know that by now, look it up, Google it. There's a massive shortage for clinicians in the US right now. So that is starting to come back again. We're starting to see healthcare workers start to go back on assignments in different markets, and they might not pay as well as they used to, but you can still get two or three or four clinicians that can stay in one property together. In fact, a lot of these a lot of these healthcare workers, they are coming together. They want to stay in groups. They want to stay together in certain places. So I'd encourage you guys to look at that, to continue to pay attention to those things, because these trends are continuing to grow in a massive way. So Travel nurses, super, super big. Continue to pay attention to that. That market is going to continue to grow. And we're starting to see it right now in a lot of ways. So I would encourage you guys to be thoughtful on that. And the last thing that I want to make sure that I brought up here, which I think is really, really kind of cool, it was that their smaller places are still continuously dominating their market. And what I mean by that is like smaller properties. So if you have a one bedroom or a studio, those are continuing to do well. Room rentals have continued to go up, which I think is pretty cool. And I think that one of the biggest things here, like I like to have a three-bedroom or above. It's just been one of my favorite types of units to have because I can house multiple different people. But that is continuing to still be profitable for me. And the cool thing about this is that every market is totally different. Like you could be operating in a market that you know that doesn't maybe accommodate a lot of folks. Like it doesn't accommodate a ton of travel nurses and stuff like that. So maybe you might have temporary housing, people that lost their home due to a fire or flood, where you're working more with them. The average home in the U.S. is a three-bedroom, two-bath. That's why that's one of my favorite, and I have the ability to kind of piggyback in different ways um, with that specific thing. But again, this was a powerful thing for me to look at because now I could see that in most markets, the smaller homes, the smaller properties, smaller units, whether it's apartment, a studio, those are the ones that are continuing to grow. And the last thing that I'll leave with you guys today that I think is really, really important is the top 10 cities by listing supply. So this is really, really important to look at. A lot of them are on the West Coast: Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, giant markets. The number one market is Phoenix. It's in Arizona. It's continuing to grow. Austin, we've seen Austin continue to be a massive market. Miami, Tampa, and Atlanta. Those are the top 10 markets right now by supply. So if you guys are in these markets, this is where you have to be very thoughtful on like, who am I going after? I need to have intentionality of who I'm serving. Why am I going after these people? Who am I connecting with? So you got to be very kind of hyper focused on the specific individuals that you're working on. Like for me, I have property in San Francisco. I'm going after digital nomads because guess what's there? The tech industry. There's a bunch of large scale industries that are there, and San Francisco is by far one of the biggest tech supplies. Guess what? So is Seattle. So is Portland. So is Los Angeles. So is San Diego. Guess what's moving into Phoenix and Austin and Atlanta and Tampa and Miami as well? Tech companies. There's a lot of companies that are moving outside of California to these other markets that are continuing to still grow. And I think again, that's where you get to be a smart, intuitive investor and start to look at what these demands are looking like, where these opportunities at, and it's by focusing on those niches that can allow you to build a successful midterm rental business. And I would encourage you guys to continue to look at these specific markets with a different lens of a different way of serving clients. And what's worked in the past isn't necessarily going to work in the future. And I think it's really important to notice that because as this midterm rental market's still evolving, which it's evolving a lot faster than I thought, I think there's actually a lot of positivity, even though there's going to be a lot more people coming into this space. This is again why I've been really pushing on being thoughtful on creating something that has an opportunity in it. And again, a lot of you right now in certain markets have that ability to create something significant. And that is again knowing what's actually happening in your market. So I would encourage you guys to focus on what's actually happening in your backyard. Use ChatGPT to help you build and find potential opportunities, maybe not in your backyard, but in other markets. And that's still okay. But the cool thing about this is that once these companies come in, you're able to work with them, you start to understand them, you build a relationship because that's what's most important than anything. In fact, I've said this before, I think relationships are the new currency. If you start to look at your business and say, how can I actually create relationships with these companies like Alex, the guy that I just talked to you guys a minute ago, that I just met a month ago, who's renting 6 of my properties for 9 months for $6,500, which is over 36,000 a month, which is freaking wild. But guess what? He's going to be going to another market. He's going to be heading off to another, super Walmart or Sam's Club or whatever's being built. And guess who's his housing solutions provider now? This guy right here. And guess where I get to follow him to? The next market he goes to. And guess who I'm going to leverage? My community. If they go to Scottsdale, they go to somewhere else, they go whatever. I can now go into my community, which is you guys here, and say, hey, who's got 6 units in or 10 units in Scottsdale, Arizona? Who's got this? And now I can start to build and start to make money by that relationship that I built. I'm taking care of it. I'm passing these clients off to you guys. You're going to probably be able to hopefully give me a 10% spread on that for my relationship, being able to serve your property and being able to give you those opportunities. And that's how you start to build these relationships. And now you can have a tenure of actually a long roadway to build this successful business by continuing to nurture these relationships. And too many people I see that are building their midterm rental business are forgetting that they need to be following clients from one place to another place to another place. And that's by far one of the greatest ways to be able to build a significant business. In fact, that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, you guys. I started off in the travel nursing industry. A gentleman named Michael that worked for AMN Healthcare. Guess what? I actually still communicate with Michael this day, a decade later, 10 years later. And that's what building a business is about. You got to be thinking about the relationship piece of it. And I think a lot of us focus on the financial stuff, which is important. I get it. But if you're not able to build a relationship with somebody, you're not able to build in the long term. And I think that's where you build, and that's where you become successful. Is thinking bigger picture, and you think about the relationship that you're actually helping, you're creating, you're solving problems for them, you're thinking outside the box, you're being the go-to solutions provider for them, not only in your market but in other markets, and that's how you build a successful business. It is not rocket science, my friends. It is not that at all. It's just being able to be, um, again, like I talked about those couple things earlier, just being very intuitive about who you're serving, why you're serving them, and you follow them in different spaces that they go. And that's how you leverage being able to build a badass midterm rental business. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm just super still stoked from the summit and being able to learn so much from being there and just being able to connect with all you guys and being able to see you guys in person and all that cool stuff. So I'm going to encourage you guys to actually have the on demand. I put it in the chat box. We have the summit. If you guys haven't, if you didn't get a chance to go to it and you want to watch it, you can actually buy the replay for it. We have a super cheap package right now. Check it out. It's in the chat box. I'll probably pin it on here, and you guys can go back and check out the summit and read all the information. Dan Martell, Pace Morby, Noble Crawford talking about government contracts. We break all that stuff down so you guys can watch it at your own homes. And I'm really, really excited about it. I don't know if I'm going to do a 2025, 2026 one. I'm still thinking about it. I think I probably am. I'll probably do it somewhere in the Midwest or maybe the East Coast, somewhere a lot cheaper than San Diego. I'll tell you that. But for everybody that came out, I'm super grateful that you guys were there. The energy was fantastic. The speakers were freaking phenomenal. And I'm going to be here to continue to build and create and do all this cool stuff with you guys. But I'm signing out for the day. I hope you guys took away one thing from this. And if there's one thing that you did take away, it's hopefully thinking about your business in a different way, thinking about how you can actually build a successful business by just thinking outside the box. And I gave you guys a couple examples of how you can actually do that today. But continue to build what you guys are doing. Continue to keep your heads forward. And don't forget what you can do in a day. Don't forget what you can do in a week. Don't forget what you can do in a month. And sure as heck, don't forget what you could do in a year if you put your mind to building something significant. I watch so many people do this, and I'm encouraging you guys, if you want to do something, that's a level of the game that you have to be able to commit to. And when you commit and you have that consistency, there's good things that can happen, especially if you're leading with integrity and your mindset is taking care of the folks that are staying with you. You will build that successful business. So I appreciate you guys. I thank you so much for being here, and we will see you guys next week. Stay safe, everybody. Take care, and God bless. Bye, guys.